Welcome to another segment in our Getting There series. ATSU has designed the webinar series to accentuate the richness of pathways for achieving a career in the health professions. At AT-Still University, diversity is more than you. We value the idea of being a more diverse environment reflective of the communities we serve. So much so that we have created opportunities to sit with professionals like Dr. Damper, who I'll introduce shortly, to explain his career path. But first, to give you a little bit of information on how to get in touch and find out more about AT-Still University, go to our website. It is www.atsu.edu/diversity. As I said before, AT-Still University values diversity in the reflection of our society at large. At AT-Still University, we have 6 schools and 23 programs. The school that Dr. Damper graduated from is the Kirksville College of Osteopathic Medicine. And the school that is in Arizona, which is a medical school that we have, is the School of Osteopathic Medicine in Arizona. We also have 2 dental schools, one in Kirksville and one in Arizona. The Arizona school is the Arizona School of Dentistry and Oral Health, and the school in Missouri is the Missouri Osteopathic School of Dentistry and Oral Hygiene. We have 2 other schools here in Arizona, stationed here in Arizona. One is the Arizona School of Health Sciences, and the other is the College of Graduate Health Studies. These are profound in that those schools offer programs in allied health professions. But let's get to why we're here. And we're here to learn more about the career path of Dr. Damper. So Dr. Damper, I want to thank you so much for being here, being a graduate of KCOM in 2008. And I know what's fresh on the minds of our audience is, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for having me here. It's an honor to be able to reach out to people who are very interested in field osteopathy and hopefully AT-Still University. I'm a DO of class of 2008, KCOM, and right now I practice here in Phoenix. I've been lucky to be able to incorporate osteopathy into my career, and I just enjoy being an osteopath.
Fantastic. We were talking off screen a little bit about your career path, and you talked about going to school and the undergrad, and then first of all you talked about going to community college.
Yeah.
So talk to our students, our audience rather, about that, how that worked out, how that looked for you.
First of all, getting into medical school is tough work. But no, I took a typical or a non-traditional route. I'm a student athlete. I was a student athlete, and fortunately I didn't take care of my business when I was in high school. Therefore, I wasn't allowed to take any major colleges scholarship and was considered a non-qualifier. And I had to go to a community college, or when I was growing up, they were called junior colleges. And so at that time, I was able to kind of get my my priorities straight, and had a couple of roadblocks, but was able to finally get to here.
Fantastic. You talked about priorities. You talked about the medical field. You've always wanted to be a doctor. You've talked about that before when we talked off stage. What inspired you to really go into medical, the medical field?
Well, it's the intimacy with people. You're at such an intimate level with people. You're able to help them at their most vulnerable time. They share things with you that they don't share their family members, their preacher, their wife, their kids, and so that's one thing that always drew me to it. Also, I had very good mentors. Luckily, going to a situation where I had to go to community college, I actually got injured there. I had some injuries, and somehow I was able to be introduced into medicine. Once again, allow that situation to awaken me to the situation where I can be here right now.
That's fantastic. greatness of your story is the openness in which you share the non-qualifier and how difficult it has been or was for you to go that route. But again, off camera, we were talking about how you approach young people, prospective students, about medicine. And you said some interesting things about how you relate your experiences to what they're going to experience in the magnitude of life. So could you share that with the audience also?
Well, and any time you have a goal, we would like for the path to be a straight line, of course, but you know, my situation was a zigzag. You know, in situations where I had to take 2 or 3 steps backwards to take 5 to 10 steps forward. For instance, by me being a non-qualifier, getting injured, it gave me opportunity to improve and show improvement, show growth. And so when I was applying to medical schools, there was plenty of schools that were very interested just in my story, to see someone who was in my situation. All of a sudden he has straight A's. They were very impressed, and they were more interested in my story than the traditional student. And I think that helped me out along my application route. And once again, it gave me an appreciation for the journey. I know that you may hear it all the time, but it is about the journey. I think I have been able to grow as a person, and that growth has allowed me to relate to patients in a unique way, and has allowed me to appreciate my osteopathic roots a little bit more.
And you talked also about off stage, and I promise, audience, I'll get to some of your questions in a moment, but you talked off camera about how your basketball career and working in a team helped also prepare you for this work. Can you talk a little bit about that so that everyone can hear that as well?
First of all, to be a student athlete, you have to be disciplined. You have to be able to set your schedule. Also, you need to learn how to communicate with people and communicate effectively. You learn how to depend on people. But more importantly, you learn to be dependable, to be accountable. And those communication skills, those skills that came from athletics, the dedication, the work ethic to achieve a goal, that to me is very transferable along my line to becoming a physician. And also is the influence, the kind especially I decided to do.
That's fantastic. You hit on something that really resonates with me, not just the discipline of it, but also the be accountable. And you said that young people need to be, or all of us, through sports or whatever, need to be dependable. And that's also important. The accountability is one thing, but the dependability is something totally different. I was looking over our average statistics as far as credentials for the Kirksville College of Osteopathic Medicine, and the average MCAT score is 504. Now, the average cumulative grade point average is 3.61. And these are the averages, at least right now, what our students are having coming in to the program. If you want to be in this seat, like Dr. Danper, you need to be accountable to your academics and dependable in order to achieving those goals. You expressed accountability, one, in knowing that you had fallen short, but then dependability in taking these steps in order to get to where you need to in order to be admitted into a medical school. And that's not always easy for young people, certainly not people of color, whom we find that are there is a shortage of those populations in this field. So a young person of color, whomever he or she is, in grade school, because we also know that in grade school is where you need to really start that work. But let's say we're talking to a young person. What would you tell that young person that has expressed an interest in becoming a doctor?
Well, I always tell them it's the best profession in the world. I love my job. I wake up every day singing to work, and it's a pleasure and honor, like I said, to have this intimacy with patients and people. I I would say someone who's very young, listen to your teachers, listen to your parents. Definitely develop good study skills. Also, when you make a mistake, being dependable to or accountable for your actions, and show the growth. Show that you made a mistake and you're willing to learn from it. I think a lot of times that shows more about an individual than someone who's perfect. We all are not perfect, and we've all have to learn from our mistakes. And I think when you're able to admit your mistakes, learn from it, and show growth from it, it shows so much about your character. I think people tend to gravitate to you, and they tend to depend on you, and they tend to trust you, it seems like.
That is very rich and real advice, and also relevant in our time. Another thing that's relevant that you touched on was the idea of mentorship. You have yourself been willing to mentor a lot of young people, and that didn't just come out of the blue. You saw mentors, and I'll ask you in a moment who those were and what they mean to you. But you saw mentors even more recently in the medical field. But mentors, and this is another thing that our young people really need to understand, is mentors, especially when we have a healthcare shortage of population of colors, don't have to look like you.
Yes.
Mentor is someone whom you feel has a vested interest in your success. So tell us a little bit about the mentors you've had and why they have been so profound in your life experience.
Well, kind of to retract back to my injuries, I had 3 knee surgeries my first year of college, and at that time I was actually introduced to osteopathy at that time, and also I was introduced to a very special lady in my life and her husband who have associations with the community college I was with, and then also with the med school here, Ms. Dr. Gary Cloud and Ms. Cindy Cloud. At that time, they introduced me to the current president. At that time, it was the provost, Dr. Craig Phelps. And then at that time, they just basically always had an invested interest in my career, my growth, my spirituality, and just been very blessed to have that type of mentorship. And that's why I think it's very important for people in our community, medical community, Black, white, Indian, Asian, to reach out to all people, because that's the representation of your patients. And so it's very important to incorporate that into the providers.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. I want to ask you a few questions before we run out of time of those who have chimed in on our webinar here, and I have gotten those right here. One of those questions is maybe a composite of you and me, but first I'll let you start. What is Kirksville like? Was the question that I received.
Well, it's a place where I felt I had a lot of personal growth. Coming from a bigger city to a smaller city, you're not used to being in a fishbowl, let's just say. But that gave me an opportunity to learn from other people, people of all kind of cultures, from everywhere in this country, throughout the world. We had a very diverse class. My classmates were awesome. To this day, we're in fantasy football. We communicate. Recently was married and had about 8 of them there.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so we've continued to have those growing relations. And I know if I would have went to a bigger university in a major city, I would have had my own pocket of friends and never would have had the opportunity to meet every one of my fellow classmates. I had an almost intimate conversation with every one of my classmates. And we have 170 in my class, which was very enriching. It really helped me grow as a person, to realize there's actually more similarities than differences, but we tend to focus on the differences.
You truly are being the light of hope you wish to see in the world, which is what we want from our young people as well, all those who aspire to pursue a medical career. And I've experienced much the same things in Kirksville as you have, having been there only 3 years ago, but in a different capacity. I appreciate learning from you. Your experiences are similar to mine. I mean, it is a place where you can grow. For the audience there, Kirksville is a small rural town of about 17,000 people. There is the ATSU, and then there's Truman State University, two of the colleges, education institutions in that environment. And also we have another setting, which I spoke about earlier, which is the Arizona setting, Arizona campus, which is in Mesa, Arizona, much larger, more of an urban type setting. So you have the opportunity to choose as a prospective student which setting you would like to see yourself in. But let's get to another question, and this question is important because it speaks to the program design. And the question is, how many years on campus does the education program require? And you were in the 2x2, so and that's different from the Arizona. Just for information purposes, the Kirksville College of Osteopathic Medicine requires 2 years of didactic training on campus, and then 2 years in rotation throughout all of our community sites, and that's throughout the country. The question, I think, is really powerful for you, not that, but what was that experience in the rotation setting like?
Well, no, I enjoyed my time in Kirksville. Once again, it is the birthplace of osteopathy, so I really wanted to get my hands into the manipulation, OMT, osteopathic manipulative therapies, OMM, medicine. And so, being at the campus, I was able to really dive in. We had a very strong anatomy curriculum. The rotations, I decided to come out here to Arizona. I was initially from out here, but also the opportunity to rotate at some of the best hospitals in the world. I was able to rotate at Good Sam, the county hospital, did an outpatient at the Mayo Clinic. I don't know too many other students that I went to residency, internship, or my colleagues right now that had an experience to see multi-medical systems and kind of see the pitfalls and the benefits of each one.
So you really are an example of that full circle, whereby a student comes to our university, learns medicine, and then returns back into the field, preferably from where they've come, the community in which they've come. So that is profound, because that is one of the tenets of ATSU University, is to identify students like yourself, educate them, and then return them to their communities of service. And you segued into something that was rich, as well as talking about the founding school of osteopathic medicine, which is the Kirksville College of Osteopathic Medicine in Kirksville. And so that you can really understand more, learn more about not just KCOM, but also the university at large, I want to take you to our website. So if you will go to our website, which is displayed on the screen here, and you want to learn more about the university, this is the diversity website. Just go to prospective student. When you click on prospective student there, the drop down will pull you to about ATSU, and this is a general overview, which will then bring you to quick facts about the university. That gives you some general information, and then some quick facts where you can learn more details about the specific colleges and schools that you're interested in, enrollment data and information like that. But here is the impetus of this session, is to meet folks like you, doctors like yourself, who have traversed that career path and have gotten to where they are, as you've suggested, by not a straight line, but a zigzag, in order to accomplish a goal, and that's important. If you want to learn more about Dr. Damper, he's always available and willing to communicate with you, and he can be reached through us, either through our webpage. We can get you in contact with him, but you can also reach us through social media. So I encourage you to go to ATSU Diversity at twitter.com. We have a Twitter page. We have Facebook at the ATSU Diversity. And we also have email access. So you can email us at diversity at ATSU.edu. Once again, this Getting There series is a webinar series about access, opportunity. It accentuates the richness of pathways, different pathways for people like Dr. Danper, people like you, to become one of the health professions that we hope to see in the world, the light of hope that we hope to see in the world. So please take time to learn more about the path and learn more about A.T. Still University. I wish you all the best. Again, thank you, Dr. Danper, for the time you've given us today, and I look forward to seeing you in our next series. Thank you so much.